How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 406 of the Hoots Podcast, live in living color on this Wednesday, March 27th, 2024. Uh, yes, we are recording this bad boy on a Wednesday as I am mere hours away, jetting my big ass all the way down to the great island. Um, yeah, it's an island, but it's also a country, for being honest, even though it is part of the U.S. territory. Regardless of the fact that I am making my return to the homeland of Puerto Rico this weekend. It could be a very nice family reunion trip that's going on this weekend. Humacao, out of the east coast of Puerto Rico this weekend with my aunts and uncles that I haven't seen in a while. My Wella, obviously, and everybody in between. It's gonna be a nice couple days down there. I'm only there for 4 days. Coming up this weekend. I haven't been back to Puerto Rico since I was either a sophomore or a junior in high school, and I'm very excited to get back to the island. It's gonna be nice to get a couple days away from Chicago, obviously, which we record this show each and every single week. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's just truly the nefarious. We're Adam, aka Joshie Lopez. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel on YouTube as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get one of those cool, fancy YouTube plaques in the back of this recording room that I have here. Also, don't forget, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can. It's a pretty simple deal. At the Hoots Podcast, I'm at Josh Lopez Music on Instagram. If you want to check me out, do some guitar covers and get to know a little bit more about me personally, check me out there. And got a lot of fun stuff on the docket for you guys coming up in the next week or so, because we're just days away from WrestleMania 40, and your boy's been putting in the grunt work when it comes to these transcripts. And by the way, you can see all my play-by-play articles, aka transcripts, in the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com. Go check those out. I really do appreciate the support for anybody who do check out those articles. And from what I see, they've been ranking pretty well for the most part, so that's been pretty cool to see. But yeah, if you ever want to see any of my play-by-play articles, go check out WrestlingHeadlines.com. It's in the results section, and I cover basically all the main WWE TV shows and PLE. So go check those out. Don't forget, the podcast of the Hoots comes to you free of charge anywhere you get your podcast from. Just type in the Hoots Podcast. You can get it on Spotify. What? Make sure to follow us there. I got a nice little treat for you guys this week. If you check out the audio version, the intro song this week has a little production element that I added on, adding on to the video of a cool hype video that David Marcus made, a YouTube content creator made, and it has a nice tie into the Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns feud, and has a throwback to one of the best WrestleManias of all time with the song that I choose this week for the audio version of the podcast. Go check that out as well, and I appreciate the support. Anyways, we are, again, a week and a half away from WrestleMania 40, so there's so many questions still out there to be answered, and a lot of things to pontificate during this WrestleMania season. And all I could ask for you guys right now is reach out to me. What's grabbing at your heartstrings? What is this WrestleMania season pulling out of you? What are you taking away so far from the build? Good, bad, indifferent? Are you excited for WrestleMania 40? Is there a particular night that you're looking forward to the most out of the other? Have you started like making up your little match orders for both nights of WrestleMania? I as somebody who's a student of the game, I try to do that a lot with a lot of these PLE stores, like match orders. And when events like this is a 2-night event, you want to do those as well. So I have a lot of different questions for you guys. So let me know, and I just want to gauge your pulse and your interest level as far as what we are running into, if you will, in Philadelphia a week from this Saturday. And biggest time of the year, man. Big time players make big time plays, and I hold myself to a high standard, and I hope that the transcripts and I've been providing have been very helpful and useful for all of you who also do podcasts like this, and also for wrestling fans who don't have the time to catch up with all the shows. That's really the main reason why I do these articles, is to help you guys out and get some point of reference, and also to give you a good written article where it's not just littered with my booking takes and star ratings, because ain't nobody got time for that crap. I do want to say really quick that also I hope that you guys have been enjoying the pod. Obviously, that really means a lot to me. We are now at 1.2 million downloads on Spotify slash Anchor, which is insane. You guys have been awesome, man, with the listenership recently for these past couple months as well. So life is good, man. As far as what's going on here with the articles and the podcast and everything with my wrestling stuff, I couldn't be happier and very grateful for you guys to still care about what I'm doing, even if I don't have a blue check mark, or even if I'm not one of these people who get constantly approved for media credentials and stuff. There's still some glimmer of hope of that I'm on the right track towards something, and hopefully a door will open. And when that time comes, I'll go through it headstrong and not have any regrets with it. And no turning back. That's what I'm trying to say here. So, really, at the end of the day, I just want to thank all of you for still rocking with me for all these years. Whether you are first time watcher or listener to this podcast, or any of you who've been supporting me with my wrestling media journey for the last 10 years, I'm very, very grateful for all of you, because this journey can be very monotonous at times. It can be defeating at times too, especially for someone like myself who deals with self-doubt. Um, you know, there's been plenty of times, as you guys know, that I question whether or not what I'm doing is worthwhile, or anybody cares what I have to say, or if I'm doing the right things, or if I'm on the right path. I have all these different questions, but your guys' constant feedback and support for this podcast means more to me than you'll ever know. So I just want to say thank you all really quick before we go into the week of the shows and stuff like that. I also wanted to mention really quick, for those who are wondering if I'm going to be doing, if anybody's wondering if I'm going to be doing what the hell is wrong with AEW this week, unfortunately, I have some bad news for you. We will not be doing what the hell is wrong with AEW this week. I'm honestly taking some time right now to kind of reevaluate that segment as a whole right now. Don't get me wrong, that segment's been uh, a charm and a fun bit that comes with this show each and every single week, and I enjoy doing it. And it's fun to talk about it from a comedy point of view. I know in the premise, if you look at the segment, it's like, oh, this is Joshie signed this is shit on everything that AEW does, but that's not really necessarily the case. I want it to be good. I want it to be successful. But at the same time, there's a lot of people, especially people who do shows like this, who act like they do absolutely nothing wrong. And Tony Khan is the greatest booker in the history of professional wrestling, and we just like to poke fun at some of the ridiculous takes that we have to see every single week when it comes to that spectrum of the wrestling audience that we have to sit through every Wednesday night, or when they have a pay-per-view. Oh my God, it's the greatest pay-per-view ever. Oh my God, this was better than WrestleMania 17. Like, we pipe it down a little bit. And and the sentiment is true. And Brother Carter said this a lot over the years. We don't really have to do a lot of research when it comes to what the hell is wrong with AEW, because half the time they write the segment for us. So that's been kind of the fun charm of it. I also point out the stuff that I do like and things I do enjoy from AEW. Some people tend to ignore that because I could get very harsh, very critical at times when it's just due. But there are things about AEW that I do like, and I want them to succeed more than anything. But you could bring in Sasha Banks, you could bring in Sheamus, you could bring in whoever you want. It doesn't matter when the guy who's still making the end-all, be-all decisions for your programming is a freaking dirt sheet subscribing message board twat. You're not going to grow, and that's what it is. You could like that, you could disagree with that. I really don't care. I do subscribe to that method. If I offended you, be offended, because I'm going to tell you what nobody else is going to be telling you. And here's the thing when it comes to that segment, man. I don't want that to be a full representation of what this show is. Like, again, for those, I hope you understand what the premise of that segment is, but it's not 100% like, oh, AEW is the worst thing that's happened to professional wrestling, blah, 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 blah. And I think right now, I just have to be honest with you, and this is really my part of the show where I get to speak from the heart and just be completely transparent with you guys with everything that's going on with my life. Right now, I'm just at the point, especially with the fact that I haven't really been covering AW as far as like my articles are concerned for the better part of almost 2 years now. I'm growing and growing more and more indifferent to the brand. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't dislike it. It's there. I watch it. I come here and talk about it the next day, and I leave it at that. And I don't even watch Collision. I don't watch Rampage. I'm not invested. Nothing right now within AW is grabbing me. We all know the same formula. You have the new free agent signing. We rush them into dream matches, rush them into title feuds, rush Edge and Christian, and got 3 matches out of it, and all of them had screwy finishes because we had to have fucking Nick Wayne's mother. By the way, great to look at, very probably a wonderful lady, but you have that taken away from the focus should be between those two guys. But no, we have to have Malcolm in the middle and Dino Douche run in to go into that. So, all that being said, I'm going to take some time to reevaluate whether we should be continuing on with that segment as a whole. I'll leave it up to you guys. If you guys enjoy it, I'll keep doing it. But if I had my druthers, I really don't want to talk about AEW because I have nothing to say. I'm not emotionally invested with the product right now. Like, Dynamite's on tonight, and it's just a shoulder shrug to me. Great. Will Ospreay's fighting Shibata. If this was New Japan, I would be more excited. But I'm not into AEW. I'm just not. And I'd rather leave it with that old saying is true. If you have nothing good to say, don't say it at all. And I don't want my indifference to show into the effort that I put into the show, because I can feel it, and I can only speak for myself. I feel like the last couple of editions that we've done for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW, I feel I've been going through the motions because really I have nothing to really expand on. There's really nothing with the product, with the feuds right now that's pulling me where I want to invest and look at things from a bigger picture standpoint with their programming and their matches. And it's just like, it's the same shit week in and week out. Oh, somebody's hot on the roster. Let's throw Chris Jericho, attach them to somebody's hot momentum like Hook or Ricky Starks, and et cetera, et cetera. And we have to suspend our disbelief at Orange Cassidy Pockets is a top level main event star. And then you got the gratuitous blood that has no purpose to it on a random show from fucking Corpus Christi, Texas. And then the next week we got, this other outlaw mud show nonsense. So, I want to enjoy it. I'm happy for Will Ospreay that he got his bag and his schedule that he wanted. We'll have to deal with the Mercedes Moné hyperbole train that never ceases to end. And that's that, man. I have to be honest with you. Like, part of me doesn't want to do that segment anymore because I have nothing to say. That's why we're not doing the segment today, because I have nothing to say. I know that they have a pay-per-view coming up in the middle of April, which is Dynasty. And then you got, they announced today that they're going back to Vegas for Double or Nothing. And again, this is not me coming out of my way to say that I want AW to fail or go out of business, but just being 100% honest with you guys, I'm really tapping into the energy and the things I care about and things I want to express on this podcast. And AEW is just not it right now for me. It's there. I watch it when I watch, and I leave it at that. So, I was more invested with AEW when we started this segment because I was covering the shows. I was in depth covering these matches, doing Dynamite, doing Rampage, doing the pay per views. I was invested. I'm not now. I don't get paid to cover Dynamite anymore. The last pay per view that I did for AEW was on a whim call from the people from Wrestling Headlines. They wanted me to cover Wrestle Dream, which is the show where Adam Copeland made his debut. So I haven't done an AEW show article wise in 8 months. I watch Dynamite every week. At least I can when I'm not distracted by something else. And I'm just being completely honest with you guys. I want to be upfront with you, especially somebody who's a content creator and guy who's been now on this journey by himself for almost these 2 years. Like, you know, I don't want you guys to get the vibe from me that I'm going through the motions with this show, because I'm not. You see the amount of thought and effort I put into the stuff with the WWE shows. Well, it's also the same reason because I'm covering those shows every week. It's not because I prefer WWE over AEW and I have more interest in it. I'm covering the shows. It's part of my job, so I have a lot more to say and I'm more invested into it. So, you know, and that's the sucky part, because I kind of felt like this segment was going to run its course after a while. Really, if you ask yourself the question, what really is wrong with AEW? Really, there's nothing wrong with AEW. I'm happy that it exists. I'm glad that it's a place where people can go to work and make money when they're not in WWE, or if somebody needs a refresh for their career, they have a place where you can make decent money. You have a good schedule. You can do what you want. I think AEW is a great thing for the wrestling business. But as far as the product itself and Dynamite and Tony Khan and his meth head ways of going about promoting professional wrestling, I'm sorry, man, it's just not for me. So I am considering getting rid of what the hell is wrong with AEW, but I will leave it up to you guys. Do you want me to keep doing this segment or not? I'll leave it up to you guys. Anyways, I didn't want this podcast to be too long this week. I'm ready to get into vacation mode and get excited for this trip to Puerto Rico. And we'll get into what happened this week in WWE. Then we'll do the CLAHN of the week, and then we get our questions and for the Back Porch Q&A. By the way, for those who are watching live, don't be shy. Come say hello. Ask me a question. I'll give you a shout out during the broadcast, and let me know what's your guys' thoughts about this WrestleMania season so far. What matches are standing out the most to you? And also, if you guys have any thoughts on NXT and Stand and Deliver, I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well. But we're going to head into our first break here. But when we come back, we'll get into what happened in a very chaotic and hectic week in the world of WWE right here on episode 406 of the Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. Yeet. Welcome back, everybody, to the Hoots Podcast, episode 406. Don't forget, we're on the road to 500 episodes. Now that we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're watching live, please do us a favor. Go on YouTube, like this video, and subscribe to our channel. Pretty simple deal. At the Hoots Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. It helps out your boy. And I'm not charging you any money. We're not on Patreon. We don't have no merchandise to sell. I give you free of charge of some good authentic wrestling content here. Anyways, let's talk about what happened this week in the world of WWE. Man, to say that I was bummed out, as that was a funny saying that was going on in the Pat McAfee show a couple months ago, bummed out. I was bummed out that I was not at the Rosemont Horizon this week for Monday Night Raw. we're gonna get into it. It's what everybody's been talking about this week. I got a chance to watch my buddy Andrew Baydala's show TNT with JD from New York last night. One of my more favorite wrestling based talk shows out there. Very good, obviously with their production. Very good with the content and the format of their show, and just the general vibe. I am one of those people that can admit when they're wrong about things, and I, there's still things that I disagree at times with JD, but as far as him as a human being and et cetera, and I will never take away that guy's work ethic, man. He's second to none when it comes to work ethic and grind. I see like a lot of myself with him, but just on the transcript point of view. But when it comes to on air talking stuff, that dude's work ethic is second to none, and I can give credit where credit's due. I don't have to agree with everything the guy says, and sometimes, especially in the early years when I first noticed the guy, I thought he had the vibe that his shit don't stink, but getting to watch TNT from the beginning, and obviously I wanted to support my guy Drew because Drew is one of my main mentors in this wrestling media field and a guy that I consider like an older brother. I wanted to check it out, so I started watching TNT. I watch it every week. Right after I'm done covering the NXT show, I go watch TNT, and it's a fun show. It's very, very good, and I'm happy for the success for Drew, especially for the new following he's been getting since we were doing that S&E show almost 3 years ago. Now it's crazy how fast time goes. So I just want to give a shout out to Drew, and also want to take this time to admit that I was wrong about JD for New York. There's stuff that me and him will disagree on. I am not with the Dave Meltzer style way of approach of talking professional wrestling and stuff like that. But that's the cool thing about their shows. It's a debate. You could have disagreements. You could have good back and forth about what's going on with the industry. But you can keep it professional and keep it with a clean slate. I think that's the charm of their show. And I just want to give credit where credit's due because not a lot of people do that with these type of shows these days. And yeah, so I just want to say that really quick before we get into this stuff. I do have a little bit of audio that I want to share with you guys today during this segment because it's very, very important. We had so much going on from last week's going to this week's show where look at this. So we all know we had the Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes segment on SmackDown where some people liked it, some people didn't like it, some people want Cody to not always rely on being the John Cena of this generation and being goody two shoes and or as Roman would say, call him a politician. I thought that was a funny line. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, some people liked it, some people didn't like it. I'll tell you this: I liked it because you already got the digs, right? The barbs that we all expected, right? When Cody first came back to WWE and he got into this program with Roman, and that Roman last year this time was saying that, hey, you're the guy that couldn't get over your own company that you started, so you ran back home and tried to convince yourself that you're something that you're not, right? And now here we are a year later, and after that promo Roman cut towards Cody, Roman extended his hand out for a handshake, right? Now it's kind of like reverse psychology. Cody now is extending the hand out. And then Roman's saying, like, see, this is another example. You're not fit to be the guy. You're not fit to be the face of the company. You're not fit to be the guy that carries the burden of the island of relevancy. If we're talking in storyline terms, right? And what do you expect him to say? He's a tribal chief. But I find it very interesting that this weekend on A&E, the WWE Legends show will be centered around Roman Reigns. And when you ask yourself the question, what is this era of Roman Reigns' career? How will you define it? What is the purpose behind this tribal chief head of the table concept and experiment that we've been going through for these past 4 years? Really, at the end of the day, from my point of view, and somebody who's spent time in depth covering this story from the beginning, in the summer of 2020 to where we are now, really it is the acknowledgement. For so many years, this dude had to go through hell on earth to get some type of appreciation from the spectrum of the audience that does shows like this, that invests in professional wrestling maybe a little bit too much, maybe a little too much time on professional wrestling throughout the day or throughout the week. And that spectrum of the audience was always attached an asterisk towards Roman Reigns and his character. It's always something. Oh, he's not from the Indies. Oh, he gets handouts because he's The Rock's cousin. Oh, he's not good enough as a draw because Vince wants to shove him down our throats. And there's always something attached towards this dude without giving the genuine credit that is deserved for the sacrifice that he put his body through for us, especially some of those crazy ass matches with the Shield when they were first coming up on the main roster and then going on his own journey. And then, obviously we have the unfortunate situation with his leukemia flaring back up. He got back in remission, which was great to see. And then even then, when we're going from 2019 going into the pandemic, we go back to square one of, there's always this, it's always that. It's like, hey, Roman Reigns is a cool dude. He's a good person. He busts his ass. He's a company guy. He's everything you want as a top level guy. But there's always, yeah, but this, yeah, but that. Really, if you bog down with the tribal chief character and the head of the table experiment that we've been going through these past 4 years, is really acknowledging what Roman Reigns is. He right now, from a character standpoint, and I'm pretty sure he probably feels this way personally, he pushed himself to another level that he's just completely undeniable at this point. You can't deny his in-ring work. You can't deny his in-ring storytelling. You can't deny or poke holes in it in the way he cuts promos. You can't deny his drawing ability as a star or attraction. He's got to the point right now that he's undeniable. And that's what the acknowledge me stuff is. That is what the head of the table is. That's what this entire title reign has been for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, is being so undeniable that you're now in that pantheon of great WWE superstars of all time. And that's what the tribal chief is. He's got to that point. He deserves your acknowledgement. He should deserve the flowers that are way overdue for him. And honestly, I couldn't be happier for him. And for me, I am a fan of Roman Reigns. I'm not gonna hide from that fact. I've been a fan of Roman Reigns since day one. And when I was working at WrestleZone, I had an interview with Santino Marella, and this is very popular during the time because there's almost every other day there's a new article about Roman Reigns and how does the locker room feel about him getting the push instead of Daniel Bryan or Dolph Ziggler or whoever the fuck at the time that was hot on the roster. And there's always these rumblings from dirt sheets every day. I guess there's like the agenda to have a new hit piece on Roman Reigns. If you believe that there's wrestling journalists that are out there without an agenda and trying to take personal knocks towards your favorite performers, if you honestly believe that, you need to take a look in the mirror and ask yourself if you're full of shit or not. Because there are people within this field that have agendas attached to them. So I do this interview with Santino, right? And he's a guy who's still contracted on the roster at the time, and he is part of the locker room, and it was there when Roman Reigns got his start in WWE. And it gets a little bit of traction, right? And he talks about the good merits of him as a human being and him, having his football background and carrying himself as a true leader, and he's good at his craft. This thing blows up, and I get this kind of brings a full circle moment for me now as I'm speaking to you. I got flack from it from Nick Paglino, who is the content boss, if you will, the director of programming for WrestleZone. I got flacked because my interview with Santino was getting more hits at the time than the newly released WrestleZone radio shows with Nick Hausman. Now, a lot of years has gone by. I don't personally have any issues with Nick Hausman. I really don't have anything to say about Nick Hausman. I have nothing bad or anything or bad feelings towards him. But I thought it was really shitty from the guy, more Nick Paglino, more to say, to make me feel like shit because I'm bringing traction to your site because it's not fitting your agenda and what you want to push. They would hit every single day on that freaking radio show that they were doing. Oh, here's the latest on Roman Reigns and the push that Vince McMahon is giving him. It was Roman Reigns this, that, Roman Reigns this, Roman Reigns that, every other day on a dirt sheet. And they're all copying and pasting each other from Dave Meltzer. And yeah, I'm sharing some trade secrets, but you know, this podcast is off the cuff. Like, I'm not holding back because the truth is truth, and I'm not gonna lead you guys astray here. I got flagged for sharing a good article that's something positive about Roman Reigns, but it doesn't fit the agenda. It doesn't fit the echo chamber. You know, and there's still some of that aspect within today's wrestling media that I still don't get. The fact that a lot of these people with blue check bars still rely on Dave Meltzer for their perspective and the way they analyze the product and analyze the business side of the business is so funny to me because you're making an ass. Excuse me, you're making an ass out of you and me, and they'll say that with a straight face. Same jargon, same verbiage, same rhetoric from Seltzer and Alvarez on these shows, like on Bischoff's podcast and all these other places. And I'm like, are you listening to yourself? Get these little asterisks from Dave Meltzer does not make you look like a good journalist or on-air analyst. You can't even think for yourself. You're still relying on opinions from a guy who's in his mid-60s and has been exposed on multiple occasions, especially the last couple of years, for being full of shit with his own reporting. If we're literally taking it serious as a legitimate, authentic reporter or journalist at this point, Dave Meltzer has as much credibility and legitimacy as a journalist as I do being a general manager of a sports team here in Chicago. I don't, neither does he. So, I know I went on a little rant there, but it does tie back to this stuff with Roman Reigns. Really, if you look at the acknowledgement of Roman Reigns and what this journey is for him, is that fact of, give the man his fucking flowers, man. He's deserved it. And I'm very curious to see how that story is portrayed when we get into the A&E special that's coming up on Sunday. And I'll look forward to that when I get back to the city. But I wanted to play a little bit of Roman's appearance on the Pat McAfee show this past Friday before SmackDAHN. And yeah, I think you guys would get a kick out of this, actually. So let me pull this up really quick. And all right, just 1 second here. I got it right here. So here we go. Roman Reigns was a guest on the Pat McAfee show. I want to play a little bit of this for you guys, and I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on it. And let me know your guys' thoughts on this whole Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes program going into WrestleMania. So let's play. This is from Pat McAfee show on ESPN this past Friday. Roman Reigns was a guest on the show. So here we go.
Well, a lot of people say that about me because the next part of the question was,
oh, I'm sorry.
I had to get through it. So I, at that moment, started looking around. Michael Cole is calling John Cena the GOAT. I started checking out his resume and everything, and obviously he was fantastic and worked for a long time and showed up. John Cena is obviously on the Mount Rushmore in everybody's mind. But there's no reason not to call you the GOAT. And I literally, as I did my research, I started looking. I'm like, in the hardest time in the history of professional wrestling when there was no fans. No fans. Who was carrying it?
John Cena.
Roman
Get that guy
Reigns.
Get him out. The moron that said that, get that guy out of here ASAP.
And then when we got back into arenas and people didn't know what it was going to be like, sellout, 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 ratings through the roof, billions of dollars coming into the WWE. Why?
He's the needle mover.
Roman Reigns. So I've said that you're the GOAT for these reasons, and these reasons alone. And I assume that you felt that way for a long time, but you are the GOAT in a lot of people's eyes. How's it feel? And when did you realize that you were going to be in that conversation?
I've always known it. You know what I mean? I've always been striving for it. I've always had this obsession for it. You know, I was born in '85. So, you know, when you're growing up through the 90s and you have Michael Jordan, you just have this, there's just this mentality. It was different times back in the day. You know, I'm not trying to get all old school on everybody, but it was tougher. It was a tougher mentality than it is today. And that was just something that conditioned me to chase it and just want to be on a different level than everybody. And
like Caitlin Clark.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the tribal queen of Iowa.
There we go. We like that. We like that.
Completely unrelated. But yeah. I'm a different tribe, but
Caucasian tribe, if you will.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. We got some of that too, you know. But yeah, for me, I mean, I don't take anything away from anybody. What John's done is it's on, as far as generations come, that's GOAT level stuff. But for me, it's always been about quality, not quantity. John has a lot of title reigns, but he doesn't have a title reign that can compare to what I've done in the past 4 years. So this quality that, that I put on display, it speaks for itself. The business backs it. Everything that's happened, it's made this place more lucrative than it's ever been. It's made this place attractive for sale. You know what I mean? Like my reign has gone through the most turbulent, crazy time in WWE's history. And that says a lot, you know what I'm saying? So I will always take the quality of this run over, going 14, 15, 16 times any day of the week.
Ty's got a question for you.
Yeah, I'm just curious. How do you fend off the boredom? Because you already are the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
and
that's a good question.
You know, going in every single time you step in the squared circle, like this schmuck's got nothing. He's got nothing. Cody's got nothing. It doesn't matter who they line up. CM Punk certainly has nothing.
Okay.
Exactly.
I like Phil.
So how do you stay focused? How do you keep that edge when you already are the greatest of all time?
I'm living my dream, man. Like that. This is what I wanted my whole life. So I'm not one of them people that once I got there, it just wasn't what I expect. I'm not like CM Punk where I got to the top of the mountain. It's like, oh, it's not what I expect. So I'm a bitch about it. No. Hey, once you reach your goals, enjoy the dream. This is what you've been working for. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So for me, I don't want to go. No, I don't want this to ever end. I don't want this dream to end. I don't ever want to wake up. So I do everything that I have to do to stay and maintain this position. And, it's a lot of work. I'm very private about my me time, my family time. So you don't get that backstage look at everything I'm doing. But no, I'm constantly working. I'm always prepping.
Hey, body looks good.
Always. Yeah. You already know. Y'all lucky it's cold out here. We're ready. That's the thing is like, I'm just obsessed with continuing to progress. You know what I mean? So I know there's another level. I know there's some more that I can do. So I don't like to get satisfied or comfortable with the current level that I'm on.
Okay, so everybody that is the projectors of what wrestling is going to be in a few months, they know how it's going to go. They know which makes no sense because who knows who's going to show up on what night.
Nobody.
The only thing we've known for the last 4 years is every time this guy shows up, he wins. He's the only one that we know that about. Everybody else, you have no clue. But it sounds like you're a guy who doesn't see the end of your wrestling career run. Like, we're in the middle of our prime right now. We're talking about right now is the way you feel.
Oh yeah. I'm just scratching the surface. I'm still like I'm still experimenting. We're still figuring stuff out. There's so much room left.
Okay.
To grow.
Okay.
I'm 38 years young. I'm a young man. I got so much stuff to do left. You know what I mean? There's so many. If we were able to do this in 4 years, imagine what we can conquer in another decade. You know what I mean? Like I said, the work's being put in. My skin still looks good.
You're
I don't
using
look
Papa
38, you know what I mean? I'm sure there's a lot of 25-year-olds in here that I look younger than. So you know,
us whites
constantly putting in.
Yeah, you know how
I said I got half of that.
but you got your skin seems to be not from
we
our
got
side.
the good side too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see it stopping anytime. You just said it. Like, we're about to set more records WrestleMania weekend with the main events. We're chasing, you know, landmarks and different history marks as far as the title reigns. So there's so much history left to make. I don't see it ever ending.
Hell yeah. Hey, we love that. Connor's got a question for you, Roman.
Yeah, Tribal Chief. Obviously, you know, throughout those
My tribal chief.
my Tribal
That's
Chief,
right.
excuse me.
Can I say our? Or is it just
Is it our?
It's true.
Our, my, what would you prefer?
Our is probably better, but at least mine.
Okay, our and my Tribal Chief.
I will just real quick though. People from the South, like I'm from Pittsburgh, so I'll say like my mom said this or my dad.
Yes.
In the South, they go, mom said, dad said. They don't do the my in front of it. So thank you for clearing up that whenever we say tribal chief, we have to say my or out. We have to designate whose tribal chief you are.
Well, you know, it's first person. It feels personal. It feels respectful to me. So I just, you know, when you get the opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Take advantage.
Yeah. It's kind of like a King James situation.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like you'd say king, same way I'd say, hey, Tribal Chief. But again, preference. Our Tribal Chief, my Tribal Chief.
He always stands for his Tribal Chief.
Always, no matter what. And, you know, the wise man could also attest to that. But, you know, throughout those 4 years, two guys have been with you here and there, Jimmy and Jay. You know, and obviously right now they're going through their beef. Is it hard because it is, you know, blood for you to
no yeet?
No, okay. No yeet. It is catchy.
Right?
Dude, my cramp. I'm so impressed.
Look at those abs, though. I'm talking about taking shirts off, huh?
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
please.
Never, my Tribal Chief, never apologize. Okay, never. But is it hard for you not to think about, you know, your other family going at it, you know, one-on-one against each other, or is that just separate business? You're not even worried about. It's not even on your mind.
Oh, I'm rooting for Big Jim. He's my only family.
They're calling him Jealous Jim.
Jay made his choice.
Excommunicado.
You know, how do you walk away from the dream? How do you walk away from the promised land? You know, it's disrespectful.
I agree.
He'll tell you his life hadn't been the same since. So if you can't play your role, if you can't just fill the shoes that you've been provided, then we got to excommunicate. We got to see if you know, sink or swim. And he's doing okay, but just remember, it only takes just like that. We send the word and it's done.
Whoa.
All right, let's remove that. Welcome back, everybody. So I want to play a little small snippet of the interview from Roman's appearance on the Pat McAfee show. If you haven't watched it in its entirety, go check it out. It's over half an hour. You guys will like it. And obviously it hits into the stuff with Cody Rhodes as well. But that last bit there that you talked about, you know, as far as what's going on with Jimmy and Jay, that backstory, you know, him in some ways, maybe he just admitted it, that he pitted those two against each other, because really when it comes to being on the island of relevancy, it's survival of the fittest, right? And, you know, very interesting, they said that in just a snap of the finger, you know, Jay could be back in the bloodline. So that raises a whole new set of questions. Will Jay cost Cody the championship? Will the bloodline be fully back intact by the time WrestleMania 40 goes off the air and Roman Reigns is still your undisputed WWE Universal Champion? You know, it'll break Dave LaGreca's heart, but I'm kind of here for it if Roman Reigns does retain. And again, we're still having the debates. We're still just about a week and a half away from WrestleMania. And, you know, we'll find out. We'll find out if Cody Rhodes will finish his story. or this historic title reign will continue. But debates are going to rage on. Should Cody retain? No, should Cody win at WrestleMania and finish the story? Should Roman Reigns retain? What's your reasoning behind it? Are you actually still going to be as big of a Roman? Are you still going to be as big of a supporter of Cody Rhodes if he wins the championship, and not due to also typical fickle turn on him as all wrestling fans do whenever their force pushed favorites finally win a championship? Daniel Bryan, Drew McIntyre. I can throw more examples because, man, wrestling Twitter loves to throw people into positions, and once they reach that pinnacle, it's like they don't even exist after the fact. And that's just the way of life of professional wrestling, I guess, in 2024, at least on social media. But, I just touched on the Roman side. Now we can go into what we saw this past Monday night at the Rosemont Horizon. I'm going to say something right now, and it may get some heat, and I'm here for it. You can throw your arrows at me. But to me, and there's bias from being born and raised here in Chicago, but think about it now from a historical standpoint and being objective with it. Can we say at least the Rosemont Horizon, aka the Allstate Arena, is at the same or a better level than Madison Square Garden when it comes to historical significance in WWE and as an overall environment as far as the wrestling show is concerned? I understand it. The Garden is the Garden, as Vince McMahon Sr. told his son. And it's got passed down to generations. The Garden's the Garden. I know I just probably pissed off the entire East Coast. And I get it. It's a territorial thing. But if we can look at it objectively, yes, I get it. The first WrestleMania was there. And a lot of iconic moments happened at Madison Square Garden. I'm not going to take that away from it. And MSG is definitely the world's most famous arena. I get it. But if we're talking strictly from historical standpoint of the professional wrestling industry, and especially WWE, after what we watched on Monday night and countless other classic moments that happened in that building in Rosemont, formerly known as the Rosemont Horizon, now the Allstate Arena, and even after watching what we saw this past Monday night on USA Network, how can anybody tell me with a straight face that Madison Square Garden provides a better environment for wrestling shows than the Allstate Arena? And it's not even close. At least this era of professional wrestling, it's Allstate Arena here and MSG right here as far as importance and quality of shows. And let's go through the roll call. John Cena made his debut at the Allstate Arena. CM Punk get Money in the Bank. John Cena and The Rock's first interaction was in Chicago. Rock and Hogan's first interaction was in Chicago. Stone Cold, that infamous scene where he got fired at pay-per-view from Judgment Day, in Chicago. Austin and Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13, Chicago. I could keep going. Till the cows come home. I'm not taking anything away from Madison Square Garden. It's a classic building. It's a great venue for wrestling shows. It has historical significance. I understand and respect MSG, but from an overall standpoint of energy and just quality of shows, I'm just being honest. I have Allstate Arena, the Rosemont Horizon here, and Madison Square Garden right under it. And that may be a hot take, but that's how I feel. Now let's talk about the show that I was bummed out to not attend this past Monday night because your boy has to pay the bills, right? So I got to do the article, got a little sidetracked by some nonsense during it, which kind of sucked. But I do want to say, from top to bottom, not only was this probably the best televised wrestling show I've seen this year, it's probably one of the best editions of Monday Night Raw that I've seen in the last 5 to 10 years. And you could go through the entire show, the way it was formatted, the surprises, Ricochet and Jay McDonough putting on a pay-per-view quality match to kick off the show, Twisted turns with other developments for the undercard feuds into WrestleMania, like Sami Zayn. That they're touching on his journey and going against Gunther, and Gunther's mind games are so strong that he's losing focus. He lost the match to Bronson Reed on Monday. Good match. Then you go to Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch, a very, very strong women's talking segment. I'm very excited for that match going into WrestleMania. I think these two ladies are going to beat the shit out of each other. It's going to be very physical, and I'm here for it. And I that segment was great. Becky punches Dominic. We get a piercing brawl, and the crowd is still going insane for the women. And that's not even before we get to the end of this show. But we go all the way back to the beginning of the show, and we hear from Cody and all the hoopla that came out of that controversial segment with him and Roman this past Friday. And Cody said, nonetheless, I've been out here giving out positive platitudes, as he said, towards Roman Reigns, but he's not naive. He's not putting a blind eye to the fact that Roman is the guy that screwed him out of the championship at last year's WrestleMania, and basically said that he hates the guy's guts. And, everybody's calling Cody a politician, but he said it himself. He's dressing the way he's dressing. He's talking the way he's talking. He's walking the way he's walking because he's trying to be the face of the company, the champion of the company, because the guy who is that guy, is the champion, is never there. So I love that response from Cody. I thought his promo was really good to kick off the show. Very, very good. And very poignant as well. And then out comes The Rock. When I found out The Rock was that, I had a feeling, I really did, that The Rock was going to be at the Rosemont Horizon. I've been wanting this to happen. This was The Rock's first appearance back in Chicago since that John Cena Rock first interaction before WrestleMania 27. I was at that show. There was like this bear style, finally The Rock has come back to Chicago shirt that I bought. God, that was 2011. 13 years ago. Think about that, 13 years ago. So it's been 13 years since The Rock has made a live appearance for WWE in Chicago. I was fortunate to be there that night, and that was the night where John Cena gave The Rock the attitude adjustment before that WrestleMania 27 show. And here we are 13 years later, and The Rock is now, here we are again, kind of engaging with a guy who's kind of similar to a John Cena and Cody Rhodes. And I was bummed. I'm not going to lie. I'm very grateful that I got my job back. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm getting to cover the shows again each and every week. I'm not knocking my job or anything like that, but the fan of me that's been going to a lot of these wrestling shows over the last couple of years, I wouldn't say I got depressed or sad or anything like that, but when I saw The Rock come out, I was like a loud fuck inside, like I had to be there. And I guess it wasn't meant to be, I'm grateful for the fact that I still have my job and I can still make my money, and that's cool and all, but just I knew this show was going to be special. I really did. And yes, I have my bias, and I talked about how great Allstate Arena is for a wrestling show. If you ever come to Chicago and there's a PLE or even a live SmackDAHN or Raw, come to the Allstate Arena and experience for yourself. It's the best wrestling venue in the world today. And I'll put that against any building in the country. Maybe not Corkett Hall, but right, 7 stars, pal, 7-star, pal. But I knew this was gonna be special. Obviously, they advertised the fact that CM Punk was making his return on the show. Obviously, you guys know how I feel about Punk. Punk is my favorite wrestler. And then, we have the Cody segment. Then we go through Ricochet, JD McDonald. Like I said, very, very, very good match. That was cool. Then out comes CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins. And my God, the arrows, even the subtle arrows that were shot at all three of these guys for almost 25 minutes. That segment went on this past Monday night to kick off hour 2. And CM Punk, man, is a national treasure, man. I'm so glad that he's back. You can tell even for the last 6 weeks that he's been off of television since his injury that he suffered at the Royal Rumble. You can tell, man, he's back in his element, man. You can tell the smile on his face that he was glad to be back. And I couldn't be happier for Punk, obviously. And that segment was awesome. So now we found out Punk will now be doing commentary for the World Heavyweight Championship match between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. And again, brings in a new sense of questions and new layer of questions. And, you know, Punk is, in a lot of ways, the wild card going into that Drew McIntyre Seth Rollins match. Does Seth retain? Does Drew finally get his moment? Does CM Punk cost either guy the championship? What's going to go on with Damian Priest? Will he cash in the briefcase? You know, seeing how things are going right now, I could probably guess that the ladder match is going to be on night 1 for the tag titles. So, in a way, Priest could lose those titles that night and then gain the World Heavyweight Championship the next night. Maybe Finn Balor gets jealous of that. You know, there you go. You got your story there. But CM Punk on commentary with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, that's going to be a lot of fun. But you have so many different layers of questions that came out of this segment. Like, Punk already, you know, teased a few with Roman Reigns, maybe something again with The Rock. You got the prolonged feud that we've been waiting to happen with him and Seth Rollins. And obviously what's going on here with Drew McIntyre. So I watched this segment. I had a blast typing it down. I wrote down the entire thing. You can check out my transcript for Raw at WrestlingHeadlines.com in the results section. And it was fantastic, man. Drew McIntyre is an absolute menace, and you know, he decided to take a trip in the city of Chicago before heading out to the suburbs in Rosemont. And he paid a visit to one of the more popular places in regards with wrestling in the city of Chicago. And it has a very important tie to CM Punk's journey as well, since he's now back in the WWE. And I'll tell you right now, this man, after I show you this video, is indeed the freaking player hater of a century. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre making a trip to Mindy's Bakery in Chicago.
We're in Chicago. You know what? I've been coming here for about 16 years. I've never actually seen any of the landmarks. And today, I want to fix that because today's a very special day. Today, I'm very much at one with Chicago. It feels like my birthday and Christmas all rolled into one. Actually, let me lock this car real quick. We're still in Chicago. All right, as I was saying, this is the first place I want to check out. I've heard so much about it. I think this is the right spot. There it is. Let's get a shot so you know where I'm at. You've heard about it just as much as I have. I'm excited for them to fuel me for it. Oh, man. You gotta be kidding me. I drove all the way here. Closed on Mondays and Tuesdays because why wouldn't your business be closed on a Monday and Tuesday? All right. Well, probably tastes like crap anyway. To be honest, I don't need to be eating that crap. I'll get something else to fuel myself for tonight. Guess I'll just head to the All-State Arena and I'll see all you lovely people there. Showtime.
My God. Honestly, I thought he was going to reveal the DM Hunk shirt, because he, after Punk called him out, right? He's like, hey, man, get your bitch ass down here and then Drew stalling on the outside. He's like, hey, I got the t-shirt. It has the objective of entering CM Punk in the back. Takes it off. Then you get the meme of him with him kneeling over the gravestone of CM Punk and his chances of main eventing WrestleMania. And then I thought there'd be a third one with that Chicago-style DM Punk shirt. Oh my God, man. This guy is an absolute menace, and I love it. It's fucking hilarious, man. I watched that video while I was getting ready to cover Raw. I was getting my outlines ready for the transcript. And my God, I was crying laughing, man. That guy is an absolute menace. But that segment itself was fantastic. Our Truth and Miz doing commentary during the DIY New Day match was fun. Literally, this whole show was awesome from top to bottom. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get to the last segment of what we saw and what made this episode of Raw very special. Cliffhangers and threads are the name of the game, right? Of why we watch weekly episodic television, right? Why am I watching? Why should I continue watching if the show's a prolonged show or prolonged episode? And why should I come back the following show or the following week? A thread where The Rock comes out to interrupt Cody Rhodes. He whispers something into his ear. Second time now that The Rock has whispered something into Cody's ear. What did he say? We go to Jackie Redmond, by the way. Very good waterfall. She asked Rock, what did he whisper in Cody's ear? Why don't you ask Cody Rhodes? Later on in the middle of the show, hey, Cody, what did The Rock say to you? I can't repeat it, but it's a promise that The Rock can't keep. Then we go to the main event. It's Jey Uso, Shinsuke Nakamura. We know the Bloodline are there. And before you know it, out comes Jimmy and Solo Sikoa with his dusty hoodie. And then out comes Steph and Cody. We get a Pure 6 brawl on the outside. Everybody's going nuts. I'm excited for it as I'm typing down the match. And Jay wins. And then we go to the back. Cody's still trying to fight off Jimmy and Solo because Drew McIntyre laid out Seth Rollins with a future shock DDT on the floor, which I thought was a nice call. Good way to bring in Drew during that match. I thought it was a nice tie-in. Sometimes these afterbirth or crazy melee brawls to close shows could be kind of hit and miss, but I thought the right people were involved and the right timing of the sequence of that whole thing was fantastic. Even before we got to the point where The Rock attacked Cody from behind in that back area of the Rosemont Horizon, I can't tell you how many different times of me going to that venue that I walked around that same area where Rock was starting to kick Cody's ass. That area is where the superstars come in if it's not under the tunnel of the building. That's another way through that parking lot. Just even like the scenery of the Allstate Arena is fucking awesome for a wrestling show. Literally, it's like, for me, the Allstate Arena for professional wrestling is like church for me. It's just fantastic. The scenery, the vibes, all of it. Anyways, you go through the parking lot in that back entrance on the back end of that building. I walked through that, a gazillion times. Most of the times when I go to wrestling shows, I go with my Uncle Jeremy. And we do that whole loop around the entire building. And we go through that area. And you'll see the security guards there because they are there to help the wrestlers, the people behind the scenes, get to the locker room area and the backstage area of Allstate Arena, basically. And seeing that all go down, I'm like, oh man, I wish I was there, right? And I was excited. Obviously, The Rock made a surprise appearance to Chicago, so awesome for everybody. And shout out to my good brother Brandon De Jesus, who got to attend the show. Shout out to Brandon. You know, he makes a surprise appearance. But even that Rock attacks Cody at the end of the show, you got the awesome scenery where it's raining in the back. It's raining in the parking lot area. Rock drags Cody towards his tour bus, and he's kicking his ass. It wasn't as close to the park. It wasn't close to the segment where The Rock got ran over by a semi truck during that whole feud with him and Hulk Hogan and the NWO. By the way, that was also in Chicago because that was the night after the No Way Out pay-per-view when NWO made their debut in the WWE. I was at that show too. So we go back to what happened on Monday, and Rock is talking shit. Look at you now, boy. Look at you now, boy. Hey, everybody, here's your hero. Everybody's upset that The Rock didn't say anything, and then he calls the crowd pieces of shit. I thought that was pretty funny. The Rock is just beating down Cody Rhodes. All the insults, all the threats towards Mama Rhodes. I think all of that is window dressing. Rock is becoming so detestable from a character standpoint that you want to see him get his ass kicked on every level. And you get the background shot of the production truck with John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin being there. Rock carries himself with the energy that he's Thanos, and then raises the question of what Cody asked Roman during their segment last week. So who really is the boss of the bloodline here? Is it the tribal chief or the final boss? And Cody has to fight through hell and back to not only get revenge on The Rock, but to finish the story and beat Roman Reigns at night 2. I can make the assumption just like everybody else, and I would love to see it. It's very rare occasions for me where I mark out while I'm doing a transcript. I don't have those moments as much because I'm focused and I have to make sure that I get everything down. But let's say in night 2, in that Bloodline rules match, it's just Bloodline like a 5-on-1 attack or something if a new member joins or whatever, and Cody's just getting freaking mollywopped. If John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out during that match, I'm going to lose my shit in a good way. I am going to freak out, and it's going to be fucking awesome. And I hope it happens. It's WrestleMania 40, man. Go all the way, man. Go all out. Cody gets his revenge. He gets to celebrate with Mama Rhodes. Hell, if anything, let Stone Cold come out there, give him a stunner, and let freaking Mama Rhodes whip Rock with that freaking weight belt. You have so many different ways you could go about that match in those 2 nights. That's why I'm very, very excited for what we're going to see at WrestleMania 40 in Philly. Now we got next week's show in Brooklyn. The Rock and Roman Reigns will be on Monday Night Raw, so I'm pretty sure all hell's going to break loose in that segment as well. But I'm curious just as anybody to see what's going to happen on SmackDown. I don't know if Roman's advertised or not for SmackDown. Maybe we'll get a Instagram promo this week for The Rock. We'll have to see. But one thing I do know is that Jade Cargill will be making her official SmackDown televised debut on Friday. I'm looking forward to it. Long overdue. I think she's going to be a great addition to the brand. And all in all, man, this was a very hectic and crazy week of WWE programming where you have more questions than answers, and you have, more importantly, more anticipation not only for WrestleMania, but these last 3 shows before we get to WrestleMania 40. We got SmackDown this Friday from the Mohegan Sun Arena. Then we got Brooklyn and then Philly at the Wells Fargo Center for that SmackDown before WrestleMania 40 Night 1. So I'm pumped, man. I really am. I'm excited. I don't even have an idea of how those 2 nights are going to end. I had maybe a hunch maybe the Bloodline will win the tag team match. That's kind of obvious, but it's not a bad thing either. Maybe you could say that the the Bloodline Rules match would be overbooked or whatever. But I think, honestly, it should be a lot of fun regardless. So, all in all, man, that's just some of my thoughts really quick from there. Since we're not doing what the hell is wrong with AEW this week, let me do an excrement style impression of the matches that are already announced for WrestleMania and also NXT Stand and Deliver. But what we're going to do first here is start with Stand and Deliver, then we'll go to WrestleMania 40. So let's do this. Let me take a swig of water really quick so I can do this properly. Here we go. Here we go. Let's do this. An excrement style impression and rundown of matches of what are already announced for WrestleMania weekend in Philly next week. Let's take a look at it, shall we? Here we go. Coming to you live in the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's the 2024 edition of NXT Stand and Deliver. Here are your matches. First, for the NXT Championship, it's Ilya Dragunov taking on Tony D'Angelo. From there, the Wolf Dogs, Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker put their NXT Tag Team titles against the winner of the Tag Team Title Tournament, which features the LWO, Akam and Nathan Fraser, and the Good Brothers. From there, a grudge match for the NXT Women's Championship as the champion Lion Valkyria takes on the new and improved Roxanne Perez. From there, a triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. It's the champion Alba Femi against Dijak and Josh Briggs. And the main event, longtime brothers turn to sworn enemies. It's Carmelo Hayes against Trick Williams. There we go into tomorrow night. Night 1 of WrestleMania 40, live from the Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Here's your matches. First, coming up, we have Io Sky putting her WWE Women's Championship on the line against Bayley. From there, we have Rhea Ripley taking on Becky Lynch for the Women's World Championship. A six-pack tag team ladder match for the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles. This features the Judgment Day, DIY, Austin Truth, New Day, and the winners of the SmackDAHN Tag Team Title Tournament. And from there, we have a grudge match. LA Knight against AJ Styles, who will get revenge on these two who've been screwing each other each and every way for this WrestleMania season. And another grudge match. It's brother versus brother. Jey Uso against Jimmy Uso. This match made official last week on SmackDAHN. A triple threat match for the WWE United States Championship. It's the champion Logan Paul taking on Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Then the big marquee matches. First, on night 1, it's a tag team match featuring the Bloodline, The Rock and Roman Reigns taking on Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. If Rhodes and Rollins wins, all members of the Bloodline will be barred from ringside during the championship match on night 2. If the Bloodline wins, the championship match on night 2 will be held under Bloodline rules. Then we go to night 2. For the World Heavyweight Championship, it's Seth freaking Rollins taking on Drew McIntyre with CM Punk doing special guest commentary. And the main event for the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, it's the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns taking on the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. More matches being announced. Make sure to follow Triple H on Twitter at Triple H and get all your tickets right now at WWE.com/tickets. Repeat, that's WWE.com/tickets. Yeet. Woo! Oh, man. I can't believe I got all that out, man. That's insane. I take a swig of water. Holy shit. What's up, Theo, man? How you doing? Cody. Yes, for sure. Oh, man. I don't know how Excalibur does that. He does like a rundown of like 4 different shows in a span of like a minute and a half. It's insane. Anyways, that is what happened this week in WWE. We're not doing what the hell is wrong with AEW this week since we're recording on a Wednesday and I got a trip to Puerto Rico I got to go to. So I didn't want to be recorded to like the wee hours of the morning after Dynamite tonight. So I'm like, let's push it to next week. We'll see. But anyways, that is what happened this week in WWE. Now we got one more segment to do before we get to our main event. And it's a segment that's very apropos for this week because there's a lot of them out there. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to crown a new winner in this week's edition of the CLAHN of the Week.
CLAHN. You're big on CLAHN.
One more time for good measure.
CLAHN. You're big on CLAHN.
Ladies and gentlemen, the clown of the week. We crown the winner of the biggest jackass of the week for the sports world, the wrestling world, hell, even in real life. But on a more positive note, and unfortunate note, I do want to, and I had a chance to do this at the beginning of the show, and I should have, but I should do it now. First and foremost, I want to send my thoughts and condolences for everybody that lost family members in that terrible incident that happened in Baltimore the other day with that bridge collapse. I saw the video. It's out there. Terrible way to see that happen. Honestly, that's something you never want to see, regardless of where it is in the country or around the world. So I do want to send my thoughts and prayers and condolences for anybody that maybe did lose family members during that unfortunate situation in Baltimore. But my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody that's suffering during this time period. So I just want to get that out of the way first before we carry on here with this segment. Okay, back to the clown of the week this week. I mean, where do we start? I could give this award to Dave Meltzer every single week, but that kind of defeats the purpose. Last week was RG3 with this dumb take that Caleb Williams should pull an Eli Manning on the Chicago Bears and be like, "Oh, I don't want to go there." Yeah, as if going to the Washington Redskins is a better option. CLAHN. There's a lot of options this week. I mean, we got Shohei Ohtani, obviously. We had that clown from the Toronto Raptors who's now being investigated for illegal betting while he's in the NBA playing right now. And, I mean, Diddy. You guys know me. I'm a big bad boy guy. Big set late 90s hip-hop and R&B. Puff Daddy's now having his house being raided and, all these reports and allegations about him sexually assaulting women and stuff like that. I mean, there's so much to choose from this week. The Shohei Ohtani news, the thing with his interpreter, if he's involved with illegal betting as a baseball player, there's so many to choose from. The list grows as these weeks go by, but for me, the clown of the week this week has to go to Diddy because I have no tolerance for sexual assault, especially domestic violence. I have no respect for anybody that does that. Obviously, you guys know that I'm a big fan of Notorious B.I.G. and bad boy music, but sexual assault and racism and stuff like that is where I draw a line. So I can't acknowledge that stuff. That's not cool. So having both of his houses raided in the manner that is, P. Diddy, you are definitely the clown of the week this week. When we come back, we got one more segment to do on the podcast this week, and it's time to answer your questions for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session right here on the Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Hoots Podcast. Got one more segment to do here on this week's fun edition of the Hoots Podcast. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel to run the road to 1,000 subscribers. Also, like to say really quick that I appreciate all of you who are rocking with me this week. And I thought that she was fantastic. I think. Let me get my words right really quick. Just give me a second. I've been very appreciative for all of you who've been supporting the show over the last couple months. That's what I wanted to say. It's been a long week. Bear with me. But it is time to answer your question for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session. But before we do that, I want to play a little clip that is new and recent. Becky Lynch recently was a guest on the Errol Hawani show on the MMA Hour, and a lot of discussion this week about Ronda Rousey and her time in WWE. Some controversial thoughts on Ronda's point of view. She seems to have a lot of resentment towards the company. I've been catching up with that whole situation. Let's hear Becky Lynch's response to this whole thing.
The company does good. So I don't think anybody is trying to make anybody fail.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose that is my point. Nobody's like trying to make anybody fail. And I think when you love this, you look to try and make it better. How can I make this better? But she was coming from a different industry. She was a star, and she should have been handled differently in terms of, I think she had such a great first outing that everybody thought, oh, she can wrestle. And I mean this with respect, but she couldn't wrestle. Like, what we do isn't something that you can just have one good match and then, okay, yeah, no, I'm off to the races. It's a craft, and you have to learn your craft, and you have to be diligent about learning your craft. But everybody treated Ronda like she already knew it, because when she first came in, she was good in that first bout, but she was also working with Kurt Angle. She was working with Triple H, Stephanie McMahon. It was a well-rehearsed match, because everybody wanted her to succeed. And then it was like, okay, she can do this off to the races. And that was mishandling her, because she was, a star in her own right. And she had done so much for MMA. And so in terms of that and booking, that wasn't done well. But my experience coming from nobody thinking that I was going to be worth anything and making myself very valuable to the company and very valuable to wrestling in general, it's because I loved it, because I loved it and I sought out to do it. And she came in and I think she found a place that she enjoyed, she liked, but she never sought to do it from a young age. And I think that changes the experience that you have when you go into a place, if that makes sense.
It does.
All right, so props to Ariel Hawani for that interview. I want to check out the whole thing a little later on, but definitely some good, interesting comments there from Becky Lynch. But let's get to these questions here. We only got questions this week for the good brother Chris Zaletta, and I always appreciate his support. Make sure, by the way, to follow Chris at Twitter at XTZaletta24X on Twitter. Let's start with the X really quick for Chris. Let's take a look at this, shall we? What up, Boost? Here's the question for the Q&A this week. Have you watched any of March Madness? That's going to be a swift and quick no. I'm not. This is just in general. I'm not a fan of college sports. I only root for the Illini or Northwestern. Those are my teams since I'm from Chicago. I know that Northwestern lost to UConn the other day, and I think the Illini are still in. But I'm kind of hit and miss with college sports. I don't really watch it as much. I know March Madness is very popular and very big with sports gambling and stuff like that, and college sports is really big on social media as well. But for me, it's just hit and miss. I'm not. Maybe it's a commentating thing, but I don't find myself entertained or informed when I'm watching these games, and it's been hit and miss for me. So I'll have to say no to that. But appreciate the question. Which brand do you think Melo will be on, Raw or SmackDown? I think Melo will be on SmackDown because SmackDown needs more baby faces. So I'm going to go with SmackDown for Carmelo. Do you think we get another run for Trish? I do. Will it be as extensive as the one she had previously for this past year? I don't think so, but I don't think we see the last of Trish Stratus. And if that steel cage match that she had with Becky at Payback was her last match, what a way to go out, because that match was fantastic. But I'm pretty sure that we'll get to see more Trish as the time goes by. Thoughts on the Diddy situation from Monday? It's a shame, man. In a lot of ways, I looked up to the guy, and I don't want to rush into conclusions saying that this guy is done stuff with I don't want to rush and say the guy's 100% guilty and stuff like that, but it's a bad look when you have both your houses raided like that. And I draw a line, even if it's somebody that I look up to from a motivational standpoint and business standpoint, is knowing that he's the guy responsible for my favorite artist of all time, which is Notorious B.I.G. To see this happen, it's really sad. It's hard to find the right words to express what I really want to express, because a lot of it's just really disappointing too. So, when I saw that, just it's unfortunate, man. It really is. Thoughts on Jasmine Nick's debut? I thought she was impressive. I'm not gonna lie. I thought she was very, very athletic. She's one of the NIL talents from college, the collegiate athletes that they're going to be signing that little program that they got. And I thought she carried herself very well. I'm very happy that Thea Hale is back to being a babyface, because I was not buying this wannabe mean girl shtick that she was trying to pull off. That fits JCJ because that's what JC does. That's her bag. That's what she's good at. Let people do what they're good at. I'm happy that Thea Hale's back to being a babyface. But as far as Jasmine Nick's first in-ring appearance, from what I've seen, I thought it was really good. Are you doing a show next week from Puerto Rico? No, Chris. I will be back in Chicago by this time next week. We'll be back to our regular schedule. I'll be recording the show from where this show actually first started from, my old house. I'm spending the week over by my mom's house next week because she's taking a trip out to Mexico, and somebody got to watch over my big-ass tank, aka my Great Dane Thumper. So I will be spending some time at my old house on my old block next week, which should be cool. I'm looking forward to it. But I will be recording the show from there, and it'll be all right. Let's see here. Next question. What are you looking forward to most during your visit in PR? That's a great question. It's pretty simple, but it's just spending time with my family, and more importantly, my aunts and uncles that I haven't had a chance to hang out with a lot. So just spending that time with them, it's gonna be nice just to be out there in general. I haven't been to Puerto Rico since I was in high school, and that's almost 15 years now for the last time I was out there. So all in all, man, I'm very excited for the trip. And it should be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a very good time, man. Hey, if I run into some good waterfall down there, why not? Why not partake in some good waterfall at the island? So we'll have to see. Let's continue on here with the next question. Have you listened to Future and Metro Boomin's album? I have not yet, Chris. I will try to get to it when I can. Maybe I could do it when I'm doing one of my walks out there. I'm still doing my early morning walks when I go to Puerto Rico. That I have to stick to my schedule that I'm on right now, so I'll do that. But I haven't listened to it yet, but I heard it's good. I did like the Metro Boomin remix of "I Don't Want to Know," that Mario Wayne song. I thought that was very good. Last year with The Weeknd, I thought that was very good. Come the summer/next fall, who do you think the faces of NXT will be, with some people possibly moving up to the main roster? That's a good question. I could definitely see Dijak being transitioning into a good guy. I think Trick Williams will still be there during the summertime, so he'll be there. Maybe Nathan Frazier takes a step up as far as singles competition and getting away from the tag team stuff. That's a possibility. Tony D'Angelo is still there. I'm kind of curious to see how things go with Josh Briggs, if he's just going to stick being a tweener. But there's going to be other guys. I know that guy, Javon Evans, a guy who was Joshie, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the independent wrestler that got a lot of steam and momentum. I think he's a guy that can catch the attention of a lot of people. But those are the ones off the top of my head. And I as far as the summer and the fall, I'd love to see like Fallon Henley get more of an opportunity as the weeks go by and the months go by, because she's very talented, honestly great to look at, and I think she's halfway decent with her promos too. So maybe it's time for Fallon Henley to be elevated as well. So you got a lot of options. It's a good roster down there in NXT, and it's fun to watch. And the final question here from Chris this week: what is more possible from AJ, a one-off return or one last run? I think more likely a one-off return. It's really about motivation, and I don't know what intentions or purposes within what AJ Lee is feeling right now at this stage of her life, what she wants to do for herself. She's carved herself a very good niche in the writing field, and I think it's very impressive for her. She wrote a book, obviously. She's done some acting stuff. She's done stuff in Hollywood. She's also an activist, like an advocate for mental health, which if you don't have another reason why to admire her, the human being that she is, it's really at the end of the day what she wants for her and what she wants to go out with is what I'm going to support. If she has a run, great. If she has a one-off appearance at the Rumble, cool. But really, at the end of the day, it's all about intention and purpose. And what is AJ Lee's purpose at this point? I think it'd be a great moment if she does come back. If she comes back, and we'll appreciate it for what it is when that time comes. But I want to thank Chris for the questions this week, and I want to thank all of you for hanging out with me. As always, if you have any questions for the Back Porch Q&A session, or in general the world of wrestling, you can hit me up at Twitter at the Hoots Podcast throughout the week and the weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. As always, hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Press the bell notification for any notifications when we upload new content to the channel. That helps expand the reach of the show. Speaking of expanding the reach of the show, please follow the podcast on Spotify. We need to raise our Spotify follower list in order to qualify for more potential sponsors and stuff like that. So really the best way to help expand the reach of the show is subscribing on YouTube or following us on Spotify. So those are the two main things I'll ask for you guys. I'm not asking for money. A simple follow button on Spotify would really mean the world to me and everybody that's a part of the show. So thank you all for support. As always, you can check out my transcripts at WrestlingHeadlines.com. I will indeed be covering WrestleMania this year for Wrestling Headlines this time next week. When I come back next week from Puerto Rico, will be our WrestleMania preview show, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So the road to 500 episodes continues. We're heading through this first leg of this journey very fast. So we got now 93 more episodes left of the Hoots Podcast, and I appreciate each and every single one of you who have been part of this journey with me. So I love you all. Don't forget to hit me up at Instagram if you like, at Josh Lopez Music. And if you have any questions, just hit me up as always. If you want to be a sponsor or send donations to Hoots Podcast, hit me up at thehootspodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I love you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm excited for what's going to take place on Monday for Brooklyn for Raw. And when we come back next week, man, we'll be right there for WrestleMania. And it's going to be a great time. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Enjoy your Easter with your families. And my thoughts and prayers again go out to everybody in Baltimore. Love y'all. This has been episode 406 of the Hoots Podcast. I'm Joshie. We'll see y'all later next week. acknowledge your boy Joshie. Yeet.